All right, everybody, I am back with a brand new movie review. I just got done watching the Russo brothers' new big budget film that is streaming exclusively on Netflix, which is called The Electric State. And this movie is getting a lot of negative buzz by critics. In fact, I was just on Rotten Tomatoes, and you will see that the movie currently has a 17% by critics and a 70% by the audience. That is a whopping 53% difference in scores, and it shows you how out of touch critics are. And I saw a lot of outlets giving this movie 1 star, a half a star, calling it abysmal. It was a complete waste, and this movie certainly was not. I'm going to kind of briefly give an overview of what the story is, and I'm going to talk about what I really liked and what I think they could have improved upon, and I will give you my final score. Now, this movie is jam-packed. I mean, they probably spent a lot of money on putting the cast together alone. This obviously has Millie Bobby Brown in it, and it has, what's his name? Why am I forgetting his name off the top of my head? Chris Pratt. It's definitely their movie. It's basically the two of them, but they are surrounded by a bunch of other characters. We have Ke Huy Quan. He was Short Round in Indiana Jones. Jason Alexander. You got Giancarlo Esposito. He actually has the biggest story arc, I think, in the whole film. I really enjoyed his character from beginning to end. You got Anthony Mackie, you got Stanley Tucci, Woody Harrelson, Brian Cox, and the list goes on. I mean, this movie is jam-packed with talent. There is no question about it. It is jam-packed. And I'm going to give the beginning, when I talk about this film, there's going to be a few spoilers that are all given away in the first 10 minutes of the film. So I'm not really spoiling anything because I want to get to what the basic storyline is. But this is kind of an alternate universe of, the world. And it starts out in 1990. And it has to do with a sister and a brother. And she's really smart and he's a genius. You'll find that out early on in the film. And then it kind of jumps forward 4 years. Now, you find out that in this alternate universe in 1990, that because of what Disney had done back in the 50s, there are robots everywhere. There are robots that are helping humanity. You find out that, Mr. Peanut's a robot. All these spokespeople for these different companies are robots. And there ends up being a war between the humans and the robots kind of get banished. And the way they get banished and that the humans survive is they create these neuro helmets to where they can be in two places at once. They can control a robot, and then you can also be like on vacation, and the robot does all the work. And they use those robots, the one half of the Neuralink, to destroy the other robots and put them into exile. And at the same time, something happens to Millie Bobby Brown's brother, and he basically dies. And this movie begins with a robot visiting her home claiming to be the brother. And robots are outlawed. And the robot is trying to tell her, I'm your brother. You need to come find me. And that's what the story is about. It's about her going on a journey to find her brother. And you find out a lot of stuff along the way on what's happened. And it's a more intricate story than you might expect. Here's what I really liked about the film. It had a very 80s vibe to it. The music reminded me of a Spielberg film. The Russo brothers did not write this film, and I want to make that very clear. They only directed it, and the directing was really well done. Now, if you don't know who the Russo brothers are, they did Captain America Winter Soldier, Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame, and they're going to be back for the 2 new Avengers films as well. And they are very competent directors, and this is their lowest rated film by critics. Like I said, it's at 17% right now. And so I expected to go in and this movie was going to be boring, okay, and that it wasn't going to do very well. Well, I'm here to say it's a lot better than that. This has a very colorful cast, colorful characters, and it's kind of a fun movie. I really like the music. This reminded me like of a really big Amazing Stories. If you remember Amazing Stories back from the 80s, and I know they rebooted it like 4 or 5 years ago, and I don't think it did all that well. I haven't seen those, but this reminded me of an Amazing Stories episode, one of the 2-hour movies that they did. It was really well done. It had a really good story, but it's not perfect, okay? This movie was 2 hours and like 8 minutes, and you know Netflix has a lot of credits, so the movie's about 2 hours long, and they could have cut a half an hour out of the film, and you wouldn't have skipped a beat. I think the story is really good, the directing is really good, the music is really good. Where the problem comes in is the execution of the actual film. And there are definitely some things that go on for too long and could have been tightened up and could have made a much more engaging movie. So this movie is not an action-packed, amazing film. Now, from what I understand, Netflix spent about $340 million on this film. And that has to do with the talent and also the CGI. The CGI in the film for the robots is flawless. Like this movie, they couldn't have made this movie 5-10 years ago. It has really advanced to a point where they can tell a fantastic story like this. But like I said, I think they could have tightened up the story, executed a little bit better, and it would have tested better, not with just the audience, but definitely with critics. I don't know what the critics' response to this is, but there is definitely a message to the movie, and it comes in at the very end, and I think it's a worthy message. And I'm not going to say what it is, but I agree with the message of the film. Humanity is definitely changing, and it might not be for the best. And I'm not saying that this has to do with AI and stuff like that. You'll understand when you see the film and what the message is that they talk about at the very end of the movie. And that may be where critics don't like it. Maybe they don't like being told the truth. Who knows? I don't know what their problem is with this film, but it doesn't deserve a 17% positive rating. That's way too harsh. The 70% by the audience, I think, is more appropriate. If I had to rate this film on a scale of 1 to 5 stars, I'd give it 3 stars. I really wish they would have tightened it up, and I would have given it 4 to 4.5 stars. But there are just some scenes that go on too long. The movie, I got to tell you, I thought we were getting to the end of the movie, and I looked at the time to pause it, and I still had 45 minutes left in the film, and I'm like, what are they going to do for the next 45 minutes? I will tell you that the second half of the film is much better than the first half. Most of what could have changed is in the first half of the film. They really could have moved the story along faster. So I think it has some pacing issues, some story issues, but that has nothing to do with the direction of the Russo brothers or the cast. It's really well done. It's a fun movie. I think if you watch it, you'll enjoy it, but it's not the best film in the world. So if you're looking for something to watch, something that's completely family friendly, you can watch this with the entire family. Doesn't matter whether you're 4 years old or you're 70 years old. If you want to see a movie that is going to be fun and the whole family can enjoy, this would be it. And it's on Netflix, so you got nothing to lose. I would encourage people to watch it. Don't pay attention to what the critics are telling you. Don't pay attention to what other people are saying. Don't even pay attention to what I'm saying. Just go watch the film and make up your own mind. These are just my thoughts on the film. And I'm never going to be a sellout or have anybody tell me what I should think or what I should do. I'm not going to have studios ever sway my mind on a review. I am giving you guys my honest thoughts on this. And I think if you watch it, you're going to enjoy it. But it's not the best film in the world, but the whole family can enjoy it. So I do give it 3 out of 5 stars. If you've watched it, please let me know what you think down below. I did see one person say that they turned it off because they were bored. I would encourage that person to go back and finish the film. Like I said, to me, it seems like an Amazing Stories, extension, one of their big movies that they used to do back in the 80s. But it's definitely not the dumpster fire that critics are saying it is. So go watch it and come back and let me know what you thought of the film. We will see you on the next review.